Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dream Oracle for You. I am your host, Sarah, and we have our co host, Biliana, as well. This is our last episode recording for the 2024 season. We'll be kicking off a new season in January, and we are very excited to start our new season of episodes with you. We hope everyone had a fantastic holiday, had some great time with family, and setting good intentions for your dreams, which leads me to a kickoff point for today's episode, all about intention. Biliana, would you like to get us started?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, thank you. That was a great introduction, and yeah, hope all our listeners had a great holiday. That was safe. I know over in Australia here we had where I am located, we had fires, so they were quite bad. They're still going now, so hopefully, if there's any other people out there that yeah, have gone through similar experiences, hopefully they're safe and enjoyed themselves as best they could. So we were discussing, I can't remember if it was the previous podcast or the one before that, we were discussing a bit of an experiment that we're going to start off, and it was about um what was the first one? It was about like reducing sugar and then also about our intention. So the first week we're just gonna document if we had any dreams affected or what we did during the day, like what we ate, and we chose to not have our intention during the day and then also leading up to going to sleep. So that was a very interesting week.
For sure, and
So
just for our listeners, I actually don't think we described what we had planned to do for our experiments for I think we mentioned it, but we didn't actually give any details and what our plan was. And we're only about, at least for me, about a week and a half of actual, um, you know, doing what we had set out to do. So I guess I could just fill in our plan for the listeners in case they want to give it a try. The first week, as Biliana mentioned, was about reduced sugar and specifically trying not to eat food after 6 p.m. So that way you have time for your body to digest before you go to sleep. And in week one, it would be with absolutely no intention and for your dreams at all. So not wanting to ask for a lesson or a message or anything to come through. Just literally going to sleep without any thoughts about what your dreams would be. And then the second week would be similar. You'll still be on reduced sugar and no food or no food after 6. But then you're really setting an intention, like what it is that you want to achieve in your dreams, if you want a message to come through, if there's a lesson you're supposed to work on, so on and so forth. And that's about as much ground as we've covered in actually doing this experiment. We do have plans. This is about a 6-week experiment that we want to try with different variables that we're changing. Other options will be perhaps to try some sleepy time tea or chamomile tea as it's known. And what was our third option? Do you remember, Biliana?
oh,
Yeah, I know.
I can't actually
Should
remember.
have prepped a little bit more before the episode.
Let me just have a quick look because it wasn't a lot of changes, but I know yeah it was a reduced sugar and chamomile tea, and I'm pretty sure that was it. Oh, and no dairy
Oh, that was the
as
other
well.
one. Yes. Okay. So
Yeah.
then the third week would then be no dairy. Also, I think for all three of these, it was also no food after 6 p.m. And then, of course, one
Yeah.
week would be with intent and one week without, in whatever order you choose, I guess. And then the
Yeah.
idea is then when you go to sleep, um, make sure you have pen and paper next to your nightstand so that if you happen to wake up in the middle of the night and if you remember a dream, then you can write down everything that you remember about the dream. And I guess key things we were looking out for, kind of taking note as we were doing the experiment, was to note whether the dream was vivid, what type of dream it was, whether it was, an anxiety-inducing dream or just randomness, all kinds of just to give a little bit of detail, not necessarily paying close attention to what the dream was and all the symbols, but more or less what the effect is on the dream, what reduced sugar or intention versus no intention has. How did you feel, Biliana?
Yeah, well, how did I feel? Jeez. So I tried to be as strict as possible, like the no eating after 6. The sugar, like I tried to do no sugar, but I just quickly just like, you know what, just one thing at a time. I just reduced it a little bit and no eating after 6. I just felt good physically. And so I suppose that leading up to going to sleep just made me feel better and more comfortable, not feeling um, yeah, uncomfortable in the body. So that made it like a better sleep, more restful sleep. But the intention, like that was really hard, not having an intention before going to sleep and even just during the day, not not really having a purpose of what you want to learn or what you wanted to like ask yourself. That was really hard because I've been doing it for so long and then not doing it. Like that just yeah, it was quite difficult. Did you felt the same? We talked about it briefly. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt so I could not wait for the week to be over so I could set an intention because like you, it's just become part of my normal routine that, before going to sleep, I'm like, okay, what lesson do I want to receive tonight to work on? What is something that I need to focus on now? And even though I wasn't necessarily saying, okay, I want to focus on this particular thing tonight, it was still that activeness of asking for direction or asking for guidance before going to sleep. You know, show me in a dream what it is that I should be concerned about at the moment or putting my efforts towards. And not doing that for a week, I too felt lost. It just felt unnatural because it has become such a integral part of our growth. But I guess for some of our listeners, it'll probably be a completely normal experience if they're not putting that intention for their dreams. And the result of my dreams it was bizarre. Like I can't remember all of the details, and I've written down some of the dreams, but I will not necessarily going to discuss them in today's episode. But I just remember things being very random, like more random than I've ever had my dreams be before. Just there was no direction, there was no guidance. And, things like, okay, I do remember, and maybe I will talk about a couple because it, we talked about this earlier that we'll just let things pop in as they come. But there was one like, it was something about Amazon and you would just have to like think about what you want on Amazon and a portal would open and it would just like drop in. It was just like the most randomest thing ever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? And then I would like look at the window and then there would be people and they would be dressed up in costumes and they would be playing laser tag. And then they started to like shoot at me. I'm like, oh no, they're shooting at me and I have to like run away. But like it made no sense to me whatsoever. It was very strange.
Yeah, I found that I didn't dream as much. And if I did, like as soon as I woke up, I would have to write it down pretty quickly because it would leave pretty quick. So it was only like during the day or even days after where I would get glimpses of, like things would be coming back. And I think having your intention or like even having purpose in your life is so important. Like when you've just kind of, you know, just going with whatever's happening in life and not really, you know, putting your intention or like really focusing on something in your life, that made a huge difference. And then And I suppose because there's lots of other things that's happening in my life at the moment, like a real shift for myself, and then, a lot of things like with my family. And so doing the experiment at this time, I suppose it's been quite interesting. But also, I think it's opened up a lot more for me to really think about. And at this time, I've got a lot more time to myself. So yeah, it's been really good. The one thing that I've really realized and noticed that not having intention with anything in my life, because I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna let things roll. And I felt like there was just people were starting to control me,
Mm.
and I was giving my power away to different things. People, started to just binge watch movies, which I haven't watched movies in a long time, and not just being able to focus during my day. And so that's what I found. Like, yeah. But it wasn't just because of this experiment, like a lot of other things happen in my life. But it goes to show that if you're not really putting the intention out there to bring the power back to you to really control things in your life, your decisions, your thoughts, all these sorts of things have a huge impact on then your dreams as well.